X-Force.
Bad guys.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Welcome to Steph and Anja's Media Review, where we review literally anything. Today, as you see by the title, we are doing Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2.
I missed that cue completely.
That's fine. We got there. Oh my god.
It's been a
So
long day,
funny.
okay? It's a very long
It
day.
sure has.
All right, Steph. Before we get
Anja.
into what Deadpool 2 is,
Mhm. Mhm.
tell me about your relationship with the second movie.
So you're
What
gonna
do you know?
say, tell me
Do you
about your
know?
relationship with Deadpool. I was like, interesting way of wording it. No, I think I saw this one in cinemas, potentially. I don't really remember. It was at a time where superhero movies were at an all-time high. And you just see all of them in cinemas. You just, walk in, watch a fun movie, walk out. But I really liked Deadpool 2 when I watched it, whenever that was, eons ago, seemingly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, truthfully, I didn't really remember that much of it. Um, but then I was like doing my research and I was like, oh, I actually do remember bits and pieces about it. So love that for me.
Yes.
How about
For
yourself?
me, yes, for me, I was obsessed with the first Deadpool, so having the second one come along in 2018 was very exciting. I don't remember if I know I definitely didn't see the first one in cinemas
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
was 14.
too young.
Yes. And then when this one came out, I was 16, so I don't know if I saw
You
it in
shouldn't have
cinemas.
watched it in cinemas.
I'm pretty sure it's only MA 15 plus here in Australia and not R, but
Yeah, yeah,
I honestly can't remember. But
yeah,
I do love this one. I thought it was very funny, just like the first one. And
yeah,
yeah, that's it.
yeah. It's a fun watch. What can we say?
It is. So I think we should get into a little film synopsis. I'm not going to go too heavy into the plot
Yeah,
because you know what? We're not here to really talk about the plot of the movie.
yeah,
But to give you a bit of context, a bit of an idea, our little wisecracking mercenary Deadpool who breaks the fourth wall all the time meets this little kid named Russell. He's an angry teenage mutant and he lives at an orphanage where he's being abused and bullied and, horrible things are happening there to him. It's bad. It's
yeah.
sad.
In case you needed the knowledge, it's bad.
So, when Russell becomes the target of Cable, this like a genetically enhanced soldier from the future, Deadpool realizes that he'll need some help saving the boy from such a superior enemy. It's because Russell, and this is the reason why Cable wants to, come for Russell, is because when Russell grows up in Cable's future, Russell kills his family and, it's actually pretty horrible.
Yeah.
So, we want to avoid that. So, Deadpool soon joins forces with Bedlam, who is played by Terry Crews, Shatterstar, which is like this dude with red hair, and Domino, like she's like this just lucky person,
Yeah.
and this dude named Peter, who's just like a middle-aged average guy.
Just a guy. It's my
um,
favorite character trope, actually, I will say, just as a side note, is
yeah,
like all these really special people, and then like someone who is just a guy,
yeah,
capital J, just a guy.
I love it.
It's so funny, it gets me every time.
But yes, they all come together to protect Russell from Cable and his advanced weaponry. And in the end, the gang and Dopinder, the taxi driver, save Russell and the tragic future of his. Now,
Hmm.
it's a family movie,
Hmm.
and I did not mention something big from the beginning of the movie, so I will
Yeah.
mention it. Where I don't know. Vanessa dies, which is
Yeah,
Deadpool's love
R.I.P.
interest.
Queen.
And, Wade's whole needing revenge and finding a purpose thing causes him to, like, find this attachment to Russell
Yeah.
and all of that. And then also, at the end of the movie, in the post credits, Wade time travels and fixes everything anyways.
course.
So
So
all of
nothing
his
matters.
all of his X-Force friends who die, that he gets killed, he saves them. You know, he also gets rid of his other version of Deadpool self from the Fox movies that doesn't reflect Deadpool. Anyway,
Yeah.
lots of things.
Yeah.
So, yes.
No, it's a really fun watch. I mean, if you haven't already watched it, what are you doing?
Yeah, go watch it. It's on Disney
It's
Plus.
fun. Yeah. Check it out.
I mean, you should. It's so cool. But getting into a bit of the characters, the actors to remind you, Ryan Reynolds, this very small actor. He's a very unfunny guy. He plays our
Never
lead.
heard of him. Yeah.
He plays our Weed. I just said weed. Our lead. Our lead,
Well.
Wade Wilson, also known as Deadpool, and he also voices Juggernaut, which I thought was interesting.
Yes. Yeah. I actually have a bit of a fun fact in that,
Ooh.
like, it was really meant to just be like a temporary thing, like a stand-in. However, they just like settled on it. They were just like, oh, you know what? It's a fun voice. Ryan Reynolds describes it as like a sort of Brooklyn brawler kind of voice that
Oh yeah.
they modulated, giving it like a lot of bass and reverberation. And they settled on it because they didn't have any more budget
To
to
hire
cast
someone else.
actually. Yeah.
That's so funny. That kind of okay, this is like a side note, but that kind of reminds me of Harry Styles' song Kiwi. Because I know for a fact that like they had named it Kiwi for the time being, but then once they tried to name it anything else, it just didn't
Yeah.
suit. And so they just like
It was
kept
stuck
it
as
named
Kiwi.
Kiwi. And Kiwi has like no relation to the actual song. I know that was such a side tangent, but
But
it popped
it's
into my brain.
basically the same thing.
True. But anyways, we'll move on. Josh Brolin plays Cable. Marina Buck Baccarin plays Vanessa. Hope I said that last name right. Julian Dennison plays Russell slash Firefist. He's a New Zealand actor. Might have seen him in some other movies that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I know I've seen him around. Yes. um, who else? TJ Miller plays Weasel.
Yep. Things that didn't age well.
Pardon?
Things that didn't age well. They
Oh yes.
did not bring that back.
No. And there's a few other characters, but we won't get into all of them. Just thought I'd name a few.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
I think we should go into some fun facts before we head into the
Yes.
marketing. So, Steph, maybe I'll throw it to you first.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So, fun fact is originally they were trying to get Brad Pitt to play Cable. So obviously they got Josh Brolin at the end. But they wanted Brad Pitt, and essentially it was because of scheduling conflicts that they couldn't get him. But they basically put to him like, hey, if we have a role open up, would you be interested in doing it? Which ended up being the Vanisher.
Yes.
Because they were just like, oh, it's kind of like a random one-off character, bit of a mystery. And they just called Brad Pitt. And he agreed to do it. And this article says he agreed to do it for scale. So the minimum amount of money designated by the Actors Guild, plus a Starbucks coffee. But this was no ordinary coffee. He wanted a double wet cappuccino and requested that Ryan Reynolds deliver it to him personally.
Oh, that's funny.
And apparently he just like forgot that he even requested it. So when Ryan Reynolds came in to him, he was like, "What are you doing? Why do you have a coffee for me? That's so random."
That's so funny.
It was really funny, and apparently then they shot the scene in like half an hour and he was done, which I thought was quite cool.
I love because he shows up in like 1 second of literally a second. It's so funny.
Oh, it's so good. Another kind of fun fact for you is that Fox apparently forced them to take out a joke about Disney. So obviously this was pre Fox Disney merger. So there was a lot of question and a lot of things were up in the air about the future of the Fox universe, the
Mhm.
X-Men cinematic universe and whatnot. Um, but there was one joke in the movie that they did have to take out, and Ryan Reynolds has said like Fox made them take it out because it was about Disney. Which I would love to know what the joke was.
Yeah.
But they have said like it is specifically because Disney was buying out Fox at that time. But they were like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Another fun fact is that the X-Men cameo that's in the movie, so obviously they had like a bit of a bigger budget. They could afford a few more cameos this movie compared to Deadpool 1.
Yeah.
However, these were not filmed on site and there were a lot of alternate scenes. So just for context as well, these were inclusive of Beast, Cyclops, Storm, Nightcrawler, Quicksilver, and Professor X. But they're not actually there, is the joke. None of the actors are actually on set with Ryan Reynolds. The cameo was filmed in front of a green screen during when they were shooting for X-Men Dark Phoenix, which I don't think I even saw in cinemas, to be honest.
To be honest, I don't think I watched any of the X-Men movies.
Oh, I thought they were quite fun in hindsight.
Fair.
But yeah, none of them were there. And then I have a little fact about some of, I guess this kind of ties into the marketing. This might be an interesting segue. So obviously, superhero movies, you think of the context at the time, a lot of secrecy, there was a lot of spoiler culture and people not wanting to really know much about it before going into the movie.
Yeah.
Avengers, for example, is like a really big one where like even the actors didn't know what was happening. However, for Deadpool 2, the actors were very aware of what was going on. So the trailers and marketing material kind of made it seem like the universe was bringing in the X-Force specifically. And that was going to be like the main plot point.
Yeah.
However, that obviously was not the case. It was obviously much less cinematic and less big than that.
Yeah.
And later down the line, Terry Crews told like, I think it's Business Insider, that they knew and they played into like the teasing and like the marketing of it all and
Yeah.
just trying to build hype for it. And they actually shot some extra X-Force scenes that were thrown into the trailer and were only used for marketing purposes. They were never going to be in the movie.
Oh, that's so funny.
He also had to wear blankets throughout shooting to prevent people from working out the truth. So then people were completely surprised when, spoiler alert, Bedlam was hit by a bus and Shatterstar was destroyed with a helicopter.
Oof.
Apparently, Terry Crews said he felt bad for tricking people, but he said also that the purpose was to give the audience something that they would never expect, and it was crazy to keep all of that a secret. When we were shooting in Vancouver, I had to walk around with blankets over me because there were spies. I just got a few pages, sometimes even just a few lines of the script.
Oh, damn.
So I thought that was a fun one.
That's intense.
Love like in that specific area. I feel like it's less of an issue now. I feel like less people care about it now. But where everyone was like trying to learn more about the next movie or next installment of something. I love that they played it up and were like, actually, we're not doing it in the way that you think we are.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite fun.
I do have one more fun fact to add before we move on to marketing. Is that Taylor Swift's cats did actually make a cameo in this movie. Because Wade Wilson was wearing a shirt when he was in the X-Men mansion that had pictures of her cats and their names on it.
Love.
So I thought that was funny and I had to mention. So, moving on to marketing, there is a lot and it's very fun. So I'm very excited to talk about it. So, we'll start off in late 2017 where I don't know if you remember seeing this, Steph, but Deadpool was posed as Bob Ross, and he
Yes.
he did
Yes.
a bit of a painting for 2.5 minutes. I thought that was very funny. That was their first like re-dip into the marketing pool for the second
Mhm.
movie, which I thought was very funny, with Ryan Reynolds speaking in like a low like meant to be calming but isn't calming voice, and yes, very funny. After
Yes.
that, they moved on to having a like being on the front cover of a magazine that was titled Good Housekeeping.
Mm.
And they posted, it was like one of those like novelty magazines where like Deadpool kind of like took over the whole magazine, and
Yeah.
like there was like recipes that like related to the movie and stuff like that. And Ryan Reynolds tweeted about it, like with the picture of the magazine, and said, "My secret to a proper stuffing: gentle hands, heavy eye contact, and bundles of time," which I thought was quite funny.
Love it.
And the cover features Deadpool. He's literally holding a roast turkey, and it is all like, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your
obviously Deb.
quintessential like cover of a magazine, like
Yes.
the kind of magazine like a mum would buy or like a grandmother would like to
Yeah,
read.
yeah, exactly. And it was the Thanksgiving issue, so yes, it was very funny. Then in December, there was a video released of Deadpool learning Portuguese, and this
Mhm.
was in contingent with him also like announcing that and advertising free tattoo designs in time for Brazil's annual Comic Con.
Oh,
So
nice.
thought that was cool. And then in early February, the teaser was released. Then Valentine's Day. This was cool.
Yeah.
They dropped several character cards related to the romantic day with like the X-Force characters with like they had their own like lines on there that related to the character, and they were really
Mhm.
tacky looking.
In case you missed our last episode, obviously it released Deadpool 1 released on Valentine's Day. So I don't know if I have the date off the top of my head when this one released, but obviously they're still playing into the Valentine's Day um theming, I guess, of it all.
Yes, it's very funny. Moving on, that for their fans who I don't know how they got access to it. It must be some kind of sign up page or something.
Yeah.
But Deadpool released coloring pages, and fans
Stunning.
would get them through their email. They'd print them, color them in, scan them back in, send them back to Deadpool, and he would pin them up on his wall. Which by the way, I said that in quotations for those listening. So that was really funny. Then this is actually, I think, the most funniest marketing piece they did was
Mhm.
Deadpool endorsed a Mexican tequila company, which is very funny as Ryan Reynolds had only just recently bought a gin company. And
Yes. Yeah.
so
Aviation gin, I
Deadpool's,
think.
yes, aviation gin, and Deadpool's like mocking Ryan Reynolds, who is obviously Ryan Reynolds. So I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like it really tied into like the meta-ness of it, of the character.
Yeah,
Being
it's
like
just like
that Ryan Reynolds guy, who even is he?
it's just such a Deadpool thing to do, and I love it. It
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
funny. Then they also had a brand deal with Trolley, which is like a sweets brand.
Yeah.
And the gummies they were selling weren't just like sour worms or something. They were actually like little gummy hands to be like the baby hands from the
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah,
movie. Isn't that a little creepy?
yeah.
You're eating little
But then
hands.
it's like, I guess I can understand because it's like brand integration where it's like, hey, remember this silly little bit that we did?
Yeah,
It's yours now.
it's your sound. That's true. That's true. So, if don't know if anyone remembers, but in the first movie, there was Deadpool made a joke about David Beckham and how he looks really hot, but like, has anyone heard him speak because his voice is like worse than helium or something like that.
Yeah,
Some
yeah, yeah.
some go at his voice, right? So there was a video released of Deadpool like apologizing to David Beckham
Yes.
for the first movie joke, and like David Beckham not really knowing what the joke was, and like it's a whole bit. So
Yeah.
that was released and gained a lot of traction as well. Very funny. Then this one actually might have seen on TikTok if you were, if you're a TikToker. But Ryan Reynolds went on The Masked Singer in Korea, sorry, and he was dressed as a sparkly unicorn, which, if you don't know, is one of
Oh.
Deadpool's like stuffy animals.
Mm.
So that was a little bit of extra thing that he did. There was nothing else really related to Deadpool, but it happened during the time in the lead up to the movie, so I'd say
Yeah.
it's marketing
That would
for
be
it.
why he got involved. Like actor equals character type thing.
Exactly. Now here's where the fun begins. So, do we all know our character Peter W, that really regular average
Oh.
guy?
Yeah. Our
So,
favorite character.
exactly. So, the marketing team created fake LinkedIn and Twitter pages for him, got him writing like articles on LinkedIn and making tweets, and it like built this whole like, I don't know, the fandom just loved it, and they like
Yeah.
really just kept interacting with this random Peter guy. Like, who knows who this dude is? But I'll get more into it in a second. But I
Yeah.
just want to start the ball
Yeah.
rolling. Do you
Think
guys
about
remember
it.
seeing about it? So Walmart with their DVD stands, because Devil had a little deal with them. So they had their DVD stands with like Deadpool on the sides of the stand,
Mm.
having like some things being said, him saying. But on in the stand where the movies are, Deadpool replaces the front covers of each of the movie titles, even
Yep.
stuff that isn't related to Fox, like Assassin's Creed, X-Men, Terminator, Predator. It's all been replaced, like where the actors' faces are is all Deadpool masks.
Yeah.
And that was really funny because like the Deadpool on like the side where the signs were was like, oops, like, hey, how did I get there? And it was like this
Yeah.
whole campaign. It was very funny, but that brought a lot of like brand awareness
Yeah.
to
I think
Deadpool.
even like anecdotally, I seem to remember like JB Hi-Fi doing something similar. Like I know they didn't have the partnership that I
Yeah.
think Walmart did, but that is kind of in line with like what JB Hi-Fi, which is like a tech store for those who don't know, in Australia. But they, they have like a lot of pop culture stuff as well. So I seem to remember them doing something similar and just like also having like Deadpool's little face on certain DVDs and being
Yeah.
like, hee hee,
Teehee,
look
how
at
do you get
me.
here?
Yeah.
um, Last video thing that they did was like the Celine Dion music video because she sang a song for the movie,
Iconic.
and Deadpool's
Yeah.
in the video, and that was very iconic, gained a lot of traction. But let's talk about the social media aspect of the marketing, because that
Mm-hmm.
was on the Streamy Awards website, and you know us, we love
We
that
love that.
Streamy.
We
We
love
love
the
the
Streamy
Streamy
Awards.
Awards. Yes. So they did a happy birthday tweet to Betty White from, I don't remember if it was from Deadpool or from Ryan Reynolds, but that gained like a lot of traction. But it should have been from Deadpool because Deadpool has this whole thing about liking Betty White. Like in his Bob Ross video from late 2017,
Yeah.
he named the colors of he was using, and he called white Betty White. So like
Yeah.
it's a long running thing.
It's also like a thing about the Golden Girls TV show specifically because he
Yeah.
also has a thing about B. Arthur, who I think played Dorothy in that show. It's just a thing that he is obsessed with. So any tie in there is like meant to be oh my god, he did the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So then during the Super Bowl, everyone knows the Super Bowl. It's a
Yeah.
big NFL grand final thing, and everyone has videos and ads for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fandom was really gunning for a trailer for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But, in real Deadpool fashion, they didn't do that.
Nope.
And they instead live tweeted throughout the whole Super Bowl, complaining about not having an ad and blaming like the Fox execs for not giving them the budget. And I
Like in
thought,
character commentary from Deadpool.
yeah, I thought that was very funny and very Deadpool, and it gained probably just as much traction as releasing the trailer would have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. Then here, interestingly, Deadpool, the account prior to the second movie release and to this marketing campaign, only followed one person on social media, Hello Kitty, which
Bless.
is funny on its own. But once Peter W started, the accounts were made, Deadpool also followed Peter. And that's
Yeah.
one way, obviously, it got really big. But I think that's very funny how he only follows Hello Kitty and Peter W.
Yeah. I think it's also I just wanted to say real quick that it's really interesting looking back now, especially like how brands used to use Twitter.
Yeah.
And like where it is at now, because I think the part of the reason that people realize like, oh my God, like Peter W is like an actual character and is like an actual thing is like, oh, the verified Deadpool account follows and is interacting with this account. Whereas like now on Twitter, anyone can be verified. It doesn't have the same weight to it,
No.
which I don't think like realistically anything like this campaign can be done again on twitter.com, like on
No.
whatever. I'm not calling it X, but
No,
I
me
just,
either.
yeah, I think it's really interesting to look back at and be like, oh, wow, that it really worked, but it wouldn't work now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about that Peter campaign again, shall we? Do you
Yeah.
remember? Made like he posted articles on LinkedIn, made lots of tweets, and just being an average Joe guy. And I think he was also talking about how he was so excited to be on X Force and how happy he
Yes.
was and all that.
Yeah.
So at the time, that campaign garnered 68 million impressions with 29 million engagements. So that's massive. That's massive.
Mm.
But then
Mm.
you combine that campaign with their other campaigns such as the Super Bowl. They got over 490 million impressions with 31 million engagements, 81 million video views, and increased their social following by 1.3 million at the time. Which
That's huge.
That's huge.
That's crazy.
That's insane. So major props
Yeah.
to that marketing team because that was absolutely crazy. That's insane.
I would be so curious to know, and I know there's not really a way that like you can really do this, but I would be so curious to know like total reach, like how many people were reached, because like an impression is just like the amount of times like something was served essentially.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh my God, like with that number alone, like that would be huge. Like that's a huge amount of people in general.
Yeah.
And like the fact that they got that many followers off the back of this campaign.
Insane.
Again, I don't think it would happen like that these days,
No.
even though it's only been what, 7 years, 6 years?
That's a long time.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh, I feel
Me
old.
saying that out loud, I was like, oh wow,
Yeah,
aging.
that's been too long.
But you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I
though,
do.
Where it's
Yeah.
like, and I guess like it goes to show like how far social media. I don't want to say evolves. I wouldn't call Twitter evolving like in a good way, but it has definitely changed and developed in a different way than it was previously.
No, very true. But that does like wrap me up for the marketing. I know I kind of sped
Yeah,
through
love it.
but
No,
they
no,
did
no.
so much.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there
Yeah.
was more that I missed, but I think I got a good bulk of it.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, there's always going to be like your usual like paid media activity, your billboards, your TV ads,
Your
your
TikTok ads.
YouTube, yeah, TikTok now. Yeah, all the usual stuff that kind of played into people being aware of the movie, considering like buying a ticket or and actually going to see the movie. And this movie did very well for itself. Even though I think like obviously the budget was not anywhere near like the level of other superhero movies that were being released at the time. I think it was like, oh, I don't remember how much this movie cost. I think it was a little bit more than what the first Deadpool one was.
Yeah.
But it was not in the way the Avengers cost like $1 billion. Deadpool 2 was nowhere near that.
There you go.
Love.
Now, I think it's time, you guys deserve it, that we do our favourite segment of our show, fan fiction.
Fan fiction.
We haven't done it in a little bit because we've been
No.
doing real people, and we don't do fan fictions of real people. But Wade Wilson, Deadpool, is not
He
a real
ain't real.
person, so
He is a fictional character.
we have a fanfic prepared. So,
and what a fanfic it is.
I mean, we're really going back to our first episode days.
Our roots.
Real roots here, because it's a bit of a crack fic. Yeah. And it's a short crack fic.
I was just gonna say, for those who are new here, every week, based on what we cover in the podcast, we pick out a fan fiction that we bring to the table, and we kind of just chat through the tags, the title, the summary, and the actual plot. Usually these are very high quality, we're very picky about fanfic.
Yeah.
But we just wanted a fun one. And you know what? It's very hard to search for Deadpool 2, as it turns out.
Yes.
It's not outright explicit.
No. But we did find this. So this is what we've brought to the table. It's a fic called Wade Has Something to Share. And it's written by Thorn45. The summary is one sentence. Wade annoys Weasel via chat at his bar.
So true.
So, there's not much to unpack there. There's literally barely any tags. It's just chat logs, fluff and crack, Wade Wilson breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And that is it.
And there are only two characters. It's just Weasel and Wade Wilson. And that's it.
Yeah, it's very, very simplistic, It really drew me in.
Yeah. And it's 420 words.
But it's literally about Deadpool is texting Weasel, and Weasel's annoyed about it. And all it is that Deadpool's going, "Hey, we have a ship name."
Oh my god!
And it's on Tumblr and AO3. And by the way, very self-aware, and I love it.
Yeah.
And Weasel's all
Thorn45. You are serving Deadpool realness.
It's so true. Their ship name, by the way, is Dead Weasel. That's very funny.
It is.
But yeah, it's just
there's a D's nuts joke in this. I just read further down.
Yes.
Because Wade's saying Diesel is so much better. And then makes a D's nuts joke. I'm not going to explain D's nuts.
No, but I love.
You know.
I love how they're talking about how they're looking themselves up on Google, and searching the multiverse for their name or something like that, and then it just talks about parallels of themselves. It spirals.
Yeah,
it's spiraling.
There's an aviation gin reference to Ryan Reynolds,
and it just it ends so quickly. But I just want to say this is the last sentence, and it's also said by Weasel. Fine, but I'm sending Reynolds a nasty text and signing it with your name. And I'm just like...
I like the notes at the end of the fic where they're like, I have no idea if either of those ship names exist. They just amused me. I love your brain.
No, it's so good. It's so good.
It is Diesel or whatever the other one was.
Dead Weasel.
Dead Weasel. Yeah.
Dead Weasel. Yes, but I don't know. I just really liked how all over the shop it was.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you just need a fanfic to be all over the place, and I appreciate that.
It matches my insanity of today. So
yes,
that's why I chose it.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to wrap up. So, Steph, what did you think about Deadpool and the marketing?
I feel like I'm always impressed by how the Deadpool movies are marketed and the lengths that they go to. I think often compared to other superhero movies at the time as well,
Yeah.
looking at Avengers and other MCU and DC like characters that were having movies made. I think Deadpool was really unique in how it was marketed. It was really fun and really engaging, and definitely also reflects, I guess, like the time and space that it was occurring in. As we kind of mentioned, obviously there's the Twitter thing, but then there's also like, I think now it's kind of viewed more like, I think it would be viewed as kind of cringe if they were to try and some of the sorry, let me go again. If they were to try and emulate some of these things now for Deadpool 3. So yeah, I'm sure we will get to that movie soon.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
watch this space.
It will come eventually.
How about yourself, Anya?
I loved it. I loved learning about like everything they did. Obviously, I had seen a lot of this stuff as it
Mm,
came out, but
yes.
then to go back and like rewatch it all and see it all again, I'm just walk down memory lane, but I'm just super impressed. I think the Deadpool movies have definitely been like a benchmark of like what advertising kind of should be, especially for superhero movies,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we get so much from them, so much of nothingness from a lot of, let's say it, Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like we don't get much from them, and then you have
Yeah.
Deadpool, and they've got just it, and it is all Ryan Reynolds. It is all him pushing out this marketing. He's the one pushing this marketing, and it's
Yes.
like you got to give kudos to him. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's so cool. So that's my thoughts. It's so cool. Go watch the movie. Go watch the
Yeah.
first one, the second one, and the third one if you haven't, because it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
I think that wraps us up. So this was Steph and Anja's movie review. We have an Instagram and a TikTok. I don't know why I'm doing this first this time, but it's fine.
Oh, changing it up.
Yeah, just keeping everyone on their toes.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
we have a TikTok and Instagram. Steph and Anja's movie review. On one word, check it out. We try and post. Haven't done in a while, but there might be something there
We're
soon.
busy,
Yeah,
but
we're
yeah,
busy.
keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, you never know. We might just pop up on your screens one day.
Who can
But
say?
if you guys could leave a like and a comment, that'd be really cool. Or a Q&A if you're listening on Spotify, we'd really appreciate it. We love taking requests and we love hearing you all guys' thoughts. So if you could do that for us, that'd be great. You can also subscribe and follow us too, so you get to see when we make a new post. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, if nothing else. Outro.